Now that my husband and I live in different places, I tell any woman who thinks she can get my man to try. If she succeeds, she should keep applause and music him. I watch you constantly, and I can tell that a lot has been going on since you were last here. You obviously released the album and you rocked and teamed up. I've heard you've even been out there discussing marriage, so what's that about? Oh, I just realized that I was asked if I was interested in marriage, and I just replied, frankly. I said, you know what, you told me a quote that your mother said a man knows what he wants. And I was saying my true feelings about Listen Jennifer is the person. And if I should be married, it will be to Jennifer Kate Hudson. Now wait. Yes, okay. Where do you stand on that? Where are you on me? This is the question. And I believe that if my mother had met you, she would have said, I don't know about the rest of them, but that come and is all right with me. I would agree, saying that I think it's a beautiful thing, that you are a deserving man, and that I support that idea. I'll say that now, hold on in due time. Because if it ever gets to that point, you know, when two people come, I'm listening. To God more and more. And I feel like I know that I understand what purpose is. And I feel like this is it right here with you. In addition, not to leave out my man Pete Rock, he mentioned that once during our interview people said, well, if that does happen, I need to DJ to Wedding DJ. Don't leave me out. Please listen. You also have a song about your husband Blake, which is about my friend, and I'm curious to know how much you two have learned from one another. He is really talented when it comes to simply listening to music, and I'm not sure if that's because he's like a jukebox of music. For example, when I first met him, my brother and I would play the very beginning of a song, and he would know the name and the year that he's that guy. I didn't really listen to country music at the time, but yeah, I didn't even know that Blake Sean existed. I always rely on him because he knows hits, and I believe that after being on The Voice for, say, 400 seasons or something, you get to know songs. We always play each other's music, and he can hear it differently than I do in the studio. But I wrote this song for him called Purple Irises, and he kept saying, don't put that out yet, save that one. And I thought, this is getting fishy. Do you want to be on this song? I didn't dare say it because everyone wants him on their songs, but I had the feeling that you might want me to rewrite it. If you want to be Hest, I'll rewrite it like a duet. So I did, and he came and we did a duet out of it. Oh my God, ooh CH, and you guys have a lot of amazing things going on. Congratulations on your 3rd year of wedding anniversary, and I'll see you on that. Thank you, they must be right for you, girl, but you can't take a bad picture. We had a lot of pictures together, and that one was at someone else's wedding. In fact, that night I was at a wedding, but anyhow, the point is that we want to know what it is about Blake that makes you remember why you fell in love with him. Blake's thing is that you'll never go a day without laughing. You know what I mean? Which is that it doesn't even matter what's happening. Heart, it's like it makes you happy every single day, so yeah, that's pretty much what I mean when I say that we're chasing laughter, aren't we? Are we all chasing that? You have any plans for the holidays? Have traditions changed at all? My in-laws asked me, well, is this where Christmas is going to be? And since we're on the mainland, we celebrate Thanksgiving with my family, so for as long as the girls were, I like that. I know I tell you that's why you have to pick your husband, okay? He's got a lot cuter. So we're going to do that. We're picking up the girls. Sasha has one more exam to finish. After that, we're going to head to the island for a little sun. His family is there, and now it's just his sister, my niece, and a bunch of our friends. We've been going there for years and years and years. When I discovered that he was from Hawaii, I thought, oh, that's funny, who's the hardest to shop for? Oh my God, he's just a boy. He golfs, and there are only so many golf balls you can get a dude like that. He already has the clubs, so I can't get him another golf shirt. He's really hard and doesn't want anything. He's one of those people who just writes a nice letter and he means it, so he's really difficult to get clothes that he wouldn't buy. Because he's also cheap, so if it's a really nice jacket, I'm trying to be like, don't look at the price. He asked, why did you spend this much on a jacket? And I said, that's what a gift is. It's hilarious, but we love that you can make up a song about anything. I'm a songwriter, so you can't look if you want to. I'm not a freestyler, though. So if I pull up a picture, can you write a song to it? All right, let's try it out. We're all right, we're walking, so John, you're going to see a picture. Then, you're going to make I'm going to do my best. And I'm really doing this impromptu. This is real, y'all. We get to see her, the master at work. All right, Let's see the first picture. This is going to be enjoyable. Oh, he said. Oh, what you got, Christy? Oh, Chrissy music. Why are you kissing a fishy? It sounds like a stupid thing to do, but don't you have a man at home? He's sitting by himself. Oh, don't you have a man? At home? You like that? Well, leave that fish alone. Only John could do that. As you talked about your long-distance relationship, everyone is captivated. How do you feel about letting people know? That's my husband, Senator Vincent Hughes. Come on, husband. My husband and I now live in 2 different places. Is this for everyone? Hell no, but for us, it works if you're a young couple trying to start a family and everything. This isn't for you. We've been married, divorced, and married again. It's the best decision I've ever made. Man, but I have my life, he has his life, and I have my career. He can't leave Philadelphia and come start here, so I'm like, baby, hold. Down, Philly, I'll hold down law doing AB, but elementary doing super things, y'all are on assignment. Thank you, I understand. We're getting ready to celebrate 20 years of a good thing. Thank you, 20 years of what is working. For us, many people can't even stay married for 2 months, but we have 20 years. We've been together for years, and we're in love. So if you're having trust issues, this isn't for you. However, he and I are in the same place, so I tell any woman who thinks she can get her man to try. And if she does, stay with him. She said, yes. Do you guys have anything special planned for your anniversary? This is just in my head, but you know that Rocky made up those steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum, and I want to be fully dressed and booted with a train O, and I want to run up those stairs like Rocky and meet my man at the top of the stairs, baby. Oh, I see it now. I've heard that you met your husband, and friends have told us the story of how you two met. Well, it was the summer of 2017, and I was having a great time alone. But I was also really tired of the dating scene. However, I was praying on it, and let me tell you that when they say that prayers are real, they mean it. I did make some sacrifices. I was dancing away at a restaurant in France when this host came over and said, "He tread, introduce yourself to us." At first, we just kept saying no, and I said, "No, I don't know what he looked like, I just know it." Was just another pop star, a French pop star. But then, at one point, I said, "I'm going to just give all my time to my daughter, Lord." I said, "Be the man in our life, and help me find like when the time comes. Allow me the opportunity to see it." While having fun with my friends, I was dancing on the tables at one point. He happened to walk by as I was coming down, and I was like, wow. And then the host came over and paired us up. I was like, oh, hold on. Oh God, she just has crystal blue eyes. And I was like, oh, that's all there is to it. However, when he left the table, I got his number, and I was like, I'm coming back. I'm getting his number. And I looked him up because I didn't know who he was. I wanted to learn more about myself, so I told my friends, get out of here, girls. It's time to find. Additionally, I told them, I'm going to get out of the box. I realized that I had a type, and when I finally stepped out of that type, I said, I'm just open to anything, race, color, any, let's try it. So you brought me this French guy, and now you have a husband and kids, and I live in France. I love that for you all. How is the wedding planning going? The future wife is really gorgeous, and I adore her and the girls, oh my God. How is the wedding planning going? Well, now that we are getting married for the second time, I think about weddings a lot. I feel like we put too much effort into it. I believe the energy that goes into weddings should go into anniversaries. I wonder how we're going to celebrate something we don't know how, but it will give you a reason to have something to celebrate for the anniversary. I think you get 5 years in and spend all the money you've saved, but don't spend it all. I'm just saying, do it then, because most of the time people argue because they go into debt, which is true, and starts it off. I've been trying to talk her into eloping, but it hasn't really worked yet. I'm like, where is she with this? She responds, I hear you, brother. But she's listening because I said, baby, I just want to focus on the marriage. We can do the celebrity celebration at any time, and we can call it a celebration ceremony or something. But all I want is to marry you and be with you. I'm not angry about it, sweetie. That sounds amazing. Now we have to ask the big question. How did you know she was the one? What made you have to do it that way? The thing we want to know is that, well, I'm a man's man in many ways because I grew up with some really strong men, but I like that I was able to be vulnerable with her without feeling like a lesser man. Wow, that is a powerful couple. You two have been together for almost 20 years. I've been with you for about 18 and a half years. What's the secret to being together for 20 years? Try not to get tired of each other at the same time. Yes, that's a really good point. You're good every once in a while, but not at the same time. Is that why you leave the room whenever you feel like it? I'll go watch a little ESPN, and then I'll come back to see you when you know each other's idiosynth. It's even better when you know we don't always agree because we don't always agree. And it's just about sort of like the story of Ryan and Sterling and sort of navigating life, love, marriage, parenthood, Hollywood, all the different ways. Thank you, and congrats on your podcast. You can get out of each other's way, girl. Because you don't need the secret, you got it. We don't always agree. So every episode of the podcast is based on topics like where we disagree and how we came to be together through conversation, education, whatever. It's about diet, culture, spirituality, and a little bit of everything that goes into our lives, and I believe that's important for other couples to learn. To put it another way, you don't have to agree to be happy and in love and be married for 20 years. For this specific topic and how we came to agree on that, it's necessary and necessary. Do you have anything you'd like to add? I like doing what Ryan does with her hands. Oh, are you two the kind of couple that mimic each other's handiwork? No, he's the kind of person who enjoys making fun of you. Well, you have 4 lovely children, and next year will be your 30th wedding anniversary. Wow, that's incredible. How was Rodney's response to your proposal? That's like, oh my gosh, y'all, Rodney Pete, oh, look at him. He came to me at the set of Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and if you remember this show, yes you do. He came in there looking like, Denzel in a white suit, and he wasn't supposed to be there. He was in Dallas, Texas, playing for the Cowboys that year. And it was a moment. Look at you, oh my goodness, all that hair you had. I sure did look he gave me that ring when I dropped my purse, and I was just like, woo, that's me, and for you, this is it. It was such a lovely moment, so you did that, honey, and you taught a class on that. Now, Rodney, did Holly's family always like you? Well, as you mentioned, no, I was playing for the Cowboys at the time, and Holly is from Philadelphia. So yeah, and if you know anything about Philly and Dallas, you know that there's just a rivalry like no other. So they did, and I was in the stands, and Rodney said, "You suck, Pete?" And I turned around to see that it was my Aunt Jane and JJ. Did we give you these tickets and you were calling names? Well, that's Philly for you. But Rodney, the moment that was truly amazing is because, well, my dad was born and raised in Philly, so he's really tough. Hard Eagles fan. And when he says, I like that guy, but he plays for the wrong team. We wait and tell him that Rodney was traded to the Eagles the night of our wedding. Then it was just, oh, he loved you, and I was all right. What were you talking about, dancing the night away? Oh my goodness, tell me about your first date. How did he win you over? Well, whose version do you believe? I want Jennifer because we have 2 different versions, and I want to hear both. Let's start with mine then. First, I knew this guy and my friend Leela Rassan, a gorgeous actress, so she called and gave Leah props. Leah said, I think this guy's good for you because I was pining over some other brother and whatever, right? I'm sitting at home with my 2-way page, that's how you know how long ago it was. And I said, Wees girl, put on your Daisy Dukes so you know what year. When we got to Rodney Pete's house, he said, you know, he's a guy that you know, I think y'all would be good together. I said, I don't want no quarterback. No, all right. I'll go over there. They said, oh, here we go. And there were about 40 girls and 5 or 10 guys. I said, this brother, and this went from 10 to 40 girls, it was many. So I said, well, Leah, do you have anything to eat? So we went to the little barbecue where they were preparing a brisket. So Leah and I tore it up like piranhas, okay? Well, we're good, and we went. When I got home, I was like, he's only about 5 minutes away from me, which is interesting. I went back to my 2-way and whatever, waiting for this brother to hit me. Of course, no one was there before you. But when I heard a knock on the door, I went to the door and saw Rodney. I asked, don't you have a party that you're having at your house? He replied, well, when you left the party after it was over. And I thought, well, that's going to get you 1 date. So he took me to a wine tasting party, and I said, this guy is classy. I never know my brother a wine tasting party. I'd never been to anything like that. And that was so amazing. But that's the last time you ever took me to a wine tasting party 30 years later. And done well, you got the girl, that's for sure. You got a wedding coming up, and AI would go to New York for work. And every time I went, I would call and say, Tony, you want to go hang out? So we went to see a Broadway play called Fat Ham Marcel Spears from the neighborhood who's on the Doing Broadway. Amir's wedding is coming up, and I see my baby there. My boo, tell me about your first date. The funny thing is that we didn't even realize it was a first date. put my head on his shoulder, but I can't because he's my friend. Later, he said, I wanted to hold her hand, but I can't because she's my friend. I had some money, and you know what pum is, you know. I had about $300 on the room that I hadn't used, so I said, why don't you come back to my room? We're ordering room service and just eating a whole bunch of stuff. So no, not like that. Wait a minute, I'm not like that. And I'm not like that. And that was the first time we both felt like, oh, I think I kind of like you. So we assumed that was our first date. However, it wasn't really a first date, but it sounds like the ideal love story. And you have wonderful friends because you had a fantastic bridal shower and a gorgeous surprise video. I want to thank the 7 women who did it, which included Vanessa Bell, Shanice Lazar, Kim Whitley, Leela Rashan, and others. I've never had a birthday party, honestly. I've never had a housewarming party, a baby shower, or anything like that. This was the first time I was in a room full of people celebrating me, and it was really lovely. Thank you, thank you. I love that for you. I love that for you. Tell me what it's like to find love at 50, 50, 51, 53, and 50. You have to look good. Sarah Jones, Rhoda Shepherd, and Brown Andy Brown threw this party for me, and they invited all of my friends. You're not good. Thank you. Thank you, baby. You know what? I think it's important for everyone to wait until the person their heart loves. I've met guys over the years and they're like, oh, it's not him. Then Tony and I became friends after 25 years of dating, and he was married, so I never dreamed of him in that way. I thought, oh, this is the guy, like this is the one that my heart loves. So I thought, find the one that gives you peace. Find the one that if the worst thing happened to, you would want to hold them in your hand, because it's not about their height or their income. Rather, it's about the serenity they bring to your soul. Tell it and wait for that person. I'm sure you're preaching today. Come on, you know that it's speaking to me. Let's talk about Wickeds, ma'am. Everyone is anticipating this movie. Congratulations once more, thank you. The chemistry is amazing, and you have Cynthia in it. Of course, Ari was able to work with. You're the only one of these guys that I haven't worked with yet, so I know how they are. I also know that Ari can be hilarious, so is she funny in the movie? I mean, she's a comedy genius, and she's so funny. Cynthia and Ari give depth to these roles that you can find on stage. Like, the women who have played these roles on stage are incredible. But when you're working on a movie, you're so close, you know. What is your favorite thing about your wife? How much time do you have left? Oh, the fact that she's still able to be my wife in the middle of all of this. As I mentioned when she left the soup, and the other day we were both in Washington, D.C., and we both thought about it. You know, I mean, the difference between when you're performing a role on stage and in a movie, and you just have to think those thoughts. And they were so beautiful and nuanced and unbelievable. And Ari's hilarious. Don't really get to see each other that often. So she came into my office. I heard all of this shuffle, and she just gave me the biggest hug and said, I love you. I said, I love you. And then we went back to our lives. The fact that she is still there for our relationships, for the kids, for her knee, and for everything else is truly amazing. I think that's the best thing. And I'm sitting here because it happened to me. The reason I'm sitting here is because that line date, when I picked her up, changed my life. It seemed like we were already discussing the future halfway through the date. And immediately after the first date, I sent her an email that essentially said, are I available for the next look at you for a few months? Music.